The screen flickered. At first, it looked like a normal broadcast. A message of peace. A council session. Something the people of Earth had seen many times before. But then, the colors shifted. The faces on the alien council turned cold. Their voices grew sharp. And in less than a minute, everything changed. The broadcast showed rows of humans. Men, women, and children. They were standing inside a massive chamber lit by pale blue light. Shackles bound their wrists. Guards with armored suits stood behind them. There was no translator. No trial. No defense. Only one voice. A voice that echoed across every star system, carried on every channel, forced onto every screen. By order of the Galactic Coalition, these humans are guilty of crimes against stability. Their sentence is death. The voice was not angry. It was calm. Cold. Mechanical. And then, the executions began. One by one. Laser fire. Screams. Silence. The number climbed. Thousands. Hundreds of thousands. Millions. Every second, more lives were erased. Every second, humanity watched helplessly. 7 million souls. Gone. And it was broadcast live. The people of Earth did not believe it at first. They thought it was fake. Some thought it was propaganda. But when the faces of their families appeared on screen, when the names matched the missing, no one could deny it. It was real. The Galactic Coalition had made its choice. And Earth had lost everything. Decades earlier, humanity had been proud to join the coalition. The galaxy had looked so vast, so full of promise. 12 great alien races. All united. They promised peace. They promised progress. They promised protection. In return, humans gave everything they could. They shared their technology. They shared their art, their music, their culture. They even sent soldiers to fight in the coalition's endless border wars. Humans believed they had found allies. But the truth was different. To the other races, humans were unstable. Too emotional. Too unpredictable. Too dangerous. For years, whispers spread through the council halls. Some called humans children with weapons. Others called them a mistake of evolution. And when a mining accident destroyed an alien colony on Zeta Core, the coalition finally had the excuse it wanted. The evidence was false. The witnesses were paid. But the verdict came fast. Humanity was guilty. The punishment was not aimed at soldiers. It was not aimed at governments. It was aimed at civilians. 7 million civilians. The coalition wanted to make an example. And they did. The broadcast ended in silence. On Earth, people gathered in the streets. Some wept. Some screamed. Some begged for war. Others begged for peace. Governments collapsed under the weight of grief. Leaders resigned. Treaties burned. But there was one person who did not bend. One person who did not cry. General Alinea. She watched the broadcast from a bunker deep beneath the lunar surface. Around her, the walls trembled as riots broke out on Earth. She did not flinch. Her eyes were cold. Her jaw was set. She knew this day would come. Years earlier, she had overseen a secret project. A weapon so powerful, so dangerous, the Earth Council had ordered it locked away. They had called it a nightmare machine. They had promised never to use it. But Alinea had never destroyed it. Because she knew. She knew the galaxy would never see humans as equals. She knew, one day, the coalition would turn. And now, 7 million corpses had proved her right. The chamber lights dimmed as she placed her hand on the console. The console hummed. A low, deep sound, like thunder trapped underground. Behind the walls of the bunker, hidden under layers of steel and lunar rock, something stirred. Something vast. Something built not for defense, but for retribution. The project's name was simple. S.H.O.C.K. Supremacy Human-Oriented Counter-Strike Command. An ark. A fortress. A warship beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. And it had slept for decades. Until now. General Alinea did not make speeches. She did not promise peace. She did not ask permission. She gave one order. Wake it up. Her voice was calm. Cold. The same tone the coalition had used when they sentenced humanity to death. But her meaning was very different. This was not diplomacy. This was not forgiveness. This was the beginning of something the galaxy had never expected. The moment humanity stopped kneeling and started standing, the screens on Earth went dark. The people stared at their blank displays, filled with rage and despair. And somewhere beneath the moon, metal groaned. Lights flared. Engines roared. The S.H.O.C.K. was waking. And with it, so was the wrath of humanity. The moon shook. Deep under the surface, engines long silent began to roar. Dust poured from the ceilings. Steel doors that had not moved in decades unlocked with a thunderous crash. The S.H.O.C.K. was waking. Technicians and soldiers, long kept in shadow, rushed through narrow corridors. Their uniforms carried no flags. Their records did not exist. They were ghosts, men and women chosen years ago, sworn to a secret that even their families never knew. And now, their silence was over. They had one purpose: to strike back. On Earth, chaos spread like fire. Cities filled with protest. Some demanded vengeance. Some begged to surrender. Others screamed for leaders who no longer existed. The United Nations had collapsed within hours of the broadcast. Presidents resigned. Prime ministers fled. Parliament chambers were empty. The people of Earth felt abandoned. But not all. When the S.H.O.C.K. systems lit up, encrypted signals pulsed across hidden channels. Messages reached old networks, buried deep within military satellites. The words were simple. Report to Lunar Command. Across the globe, scattered units stirred. Pilots retired years earlier packed their gear. Scientists left their universities without a word. Soldiers ignored broken governments and followed a different flag. Not the flag of nations. The flag of survival. Meanwhile, the Galactic Coalition celebrated. In their shining cities, alien leaders smiled. They broadcast messages across their home worlds. The human threat has been neutralized, they said. Peace is secure. Order is restored. But behind closed doors, not everyone smiled. Some races whispered doubts. 7 million civilians. Executed without mercy? That was not justice. That was terror. But fear silenced them. No one wanted to speak against the coalition. Not after the display. Yet one thing they did not know: Earth had not been broken. Earth had been awakened. General Alinea stood in the command chamber. The room glowed red as systems came online. Screens filled with data. Maps of coalition star systems spread across the walls. A voice, deep and mechanical, filled the bunker. S.H.O.C.K. awakening complete. Status: combat ready. The ship was alive. Alinea turned to her officers. Their faces were pale, their eyes wide. Some trembled. The weapon they had guarded in silence now stood ready to unleash power no human had ever dared to use. Report, Alinea said. A colonel stepped forward. His voice shook. Engines stable. Weapons locked. Shields at full capacity. We are ready. Alinea nodded. Then we move. The launch shook the moon. From the surface, Earth citizens watched in awe. For years, They had stared at the night sky in despair. Tonight, the sky answered back. A shadow rose from the lunar surface. The S.H.O.C.K was vast, larger than any city, bristling with weapons that glowed like burning suns. It climbed into the dark, blocking the stars. And for the first time since the broadcast, humanity felt something new. Not fear. Hope. Coalition patrols spotted the vessel as it entered space. They laughed at first. Humans could not build ships like this. The coalition controlled all advanced technology. Humans were supposed to be weak. Then the vessel locked onto them. One shot. A single beam of searing light tore through their flagship like paper. No warning. No mercy. The human ship did not stop. It left only wreckage behind. The message was clear. Humanity was done kneeling. Back on Earth, the broadcast system still carried coalition propaganda. Every channel showed alien leaders declaring victory. But suddenly, the signal broke. Screens flickered. Static hissed. Then a new image appeared. Not alien. Human. General Alinea's face filled every display. Her eyes were cold. Her voice was steady. You executed 7 million of our people. You thought humanity would beg. You thought we would surrender. You were wrong. Her words echoed through every home on Earth. Then they crossed the stars, bouncing back into the coalition's own networks. We do not seek your approval. We do not need your permission. We are coming for those responsible. Civilians will not suffer. But your leaders will. Silence followed. No cheering. No applause. Only a quiet, heavy certainty. Humanity had spoken. The coalition scrambled. Fleets moved. Armies mobilized. Secret councils met in panic. They had underestimated humans for the last time. Some races whispered that perhaps Earth was too dangerous to destroy. Perhaps the executions had gone too far. But others prepared for war. They wanted to crush humanity once and for all. What none of them understood was that war had already begun. And for the first time in galactic history, it would not be fought on their terms. It would be fought on humanity's terms. Far above Earth, the S.H.O.C.K turned its cannons toward the stars. Its engines burned like suns. Its weapons hummed with rage. And its commander General Alinea spoke one last order before the ship vanished into the void. Find them. Make them remember. The galaxy thought humanity was finished. But humanity was only just beginning. The void of space was silent. Stars burned in the distance. Worlds turned slowly on their axes. The galaxy looked calm. Peaceful. But peace was a lie. The S.H.O.C.K moved through the dark like a predator. Its black hull reflected no light. Its engines whispered instead of roared. To sensors, it was almost invisible. It carried no banners. No symbols. No words of diplomacy. It carried only wrath. The coalition fleet was waiting. Hundreds of ships stood guard near the system of Zeta Core. Their weapons glowed. Their engines hummed. Commanders shouted orders in alien tongues. They were not afraid. They were confident. The coalition had ruled for centuries. No species had ever stood against them and survived. Humans would be no different. Or so they thought. The first clash came fast. Coalition scouts detected a faint signal. A blip on their sensors. Something moving fast. Too fast. They prepared to fire. But before they could lock on, the S.H.O.C.K struck. A lance of white fire cut through the void. It pierced a frigate clean in half. The ship split like glass, its pieces drifting apart in silence. The coalition commanders froze. No warning. No demand. Just destruction. The fleet opened fire. Beams of plasma lit the darkness. Missiles streaked across space. Explosions filled the stars. But the S.H.O.C.K did not falter. Its shields shimmered, bending light, bending energy. Weapons that could burn moons slammed against its hull and vanished like sparks in the wind. Then the human ship answered. Cannons fired in precise rhythm. Each shot found its target. No wasted energy. No wild volleys. Every beam tore through a command ship, a battleship, a cruiser. The coalition had numbers. The S.H.O.C.K had precision. And precision was enough. Inside the command chamber, General Alinea stood firm. Her officers worked in silence, fingers dancing over controls. None shouted. None panicked. They moved as one. Target status, Alinea said. 17 vessels destroyed. 9 disabled. Shields at 85%, an officer replied. Alinea nodded. Continue. Her face showed no joy. No satisfaction. Only calm. This was not revenge. This was justice. On Zeta-Core, the alien governors watched in horror. The execution site, the very place where 7 million humans had been slaughtered, was now under attack. The S.H.O.C.K was not firing at cities. Not at civilians. Its weapons targeted command centers. Military hubs. Leaders who had signed the death order. One by one, the buildings crumbled. Their power grids collapsed. Their communication arrays burned. The message was clear. This was not war against innocents. This was war against the guilty. In the Coalition High Council, panic spread. Reports streamed in. Entire fleets gone. Strategic worlds under siege. One counselor hissed, "How? How did humans build such a weapon?" Another whispered, "They were weak. They were primitive. This should be impossible." But it was not impossible. It was real. And it was unstoppable. The Battle of Zeta-Core raged for hours. Coalition reinforcements poured in. Destroyers, dreadnoughts, carriers. Each fell in turn. The S.H.O.C.K moved like a blade through water. Every strike was deliberate. Every maneuver flawless. At last, the remaining ships broke formation. They fled into hyperspace, leaving wreckage behind. The system fell silent once more. General Alinea watched the aftermath from her command chair. The wrecks of alien ships drifted in the void. Fires burned on Zeta-Core's surface. Her second-in-command turned to her. "Victory is ours, General." Alinea did not smile. "No. This is not victory. This is only the beginning." She looked at the screens. At the faces of her officers. At the stars beyond. "Transmit," she ordered. Every human settlement across the solar system received the message. Colonies on Mars. Stations around Jupiter. Cities on Earth. The broadcast was simple. Zeta-Core has fallen. The executioners are no more. Humanity stands. The words echoed in every home. Families who had wept now lifted their heads. Children who had cried now clenched their fists. The world had seen despair. Now it saw strength. For the first time, humanity believed again. But beyond Earth, the galaxy trembled. Other races whispered in secret. Some spoke of rebellion against the coalition. Some feared they would be next. One thing was certain, the age of human weakness was over. The galaxy had taken 7 million lives. The galaxy had expected silence. But humanity had answered. And its answer was war. In the darkness of space, the S.H.O.C.K turned once more. Its engines roared. Its cannons glowed. And General Alinea gave her next order. "Set course for the Council's core worlds. We will show them what it means to kill our people." Her voice was steady. Cold. Final. The stars ahead burned bright. And humanity's vengeance burned brighter still. The fall of Zeta-Core shook the galaxy. For centuries, the coalition had ruled without question. Worlds obeyed. Species submitted. No one dared resist. But now, one world lay in ruins. A fleet lay in ashes. And the destroyer was human. The impossible had happened. On distant planets, whispers began. Merchants in alien markets spoke in hushed voices. Soldiers shared rumors in dark barracks. Leaders locked their doors, terrified of the news. Some called it madness. Others called it hope. If humans could strike back against the coalition, perhaps others could too. In the High Council chamber, fear and rage collided. The 12 alien rulers gathered in their towering hall. Their voices overlapped, full of panic. They cannot be allowed to continue, one shouted. They are only one species. We are 12. We outnumber them, another cried. But a third voice, quieter, broke through. You said the same before Zeta-Core. And now it is gone. Silence followed. The counselors shifted uneasily. For the first time in centuries, they did not feel untouchable. Meanwhile, the S.H.O.C.K pressed forward. Its massive engines burned through the dark, leaving trails of fire behind. Inside, crews worked without rest. Repairs were constant. Weapons were reloaded. Strategy was planned. General Alinea stood in the center of it all, calm as ever. Next target, she asked. Her officers answered. The system of Rias. Military hub. Coalition command outpost. Alinea gave a single nod. Set course. No speeches. No hesitation. Only action. On Rias, alien commanders prepared. They had heard the stories. They knew the S.H.O.C.K was coming. They gathered their fleets, hundreds of ships, more than had defended Zeta-Core. They dug in. They fortified. They waited. But fear ran through their ranks. They had seen the images. They had seen how easily the human ship had destroyed everything in its path. When the first human signal reached their sensors, many whispered prayers to gods long forgotten. The battle was brutal. Coalition cannons fired in waves. Drones swarmed like locusts. Missiles screamed through the void. But the S.H.O.C.K cut through them like a blade through smoke. Its weapons were not just powerful. They were precise. One shot, one ship. One strike, one kill. And as coalition vessels exploded, something unexpected happened. Some ships stopped firing. Instead of aiming at the human vessel, they turned on their own commanders. The rebellion had begun. Not all aliens agreed with the executions. Many had been forced to obey. Many had watched in silence as humans were slaughtered. And guilt had grown inside them like fire. Now, with the S.H.O.C.K tearing through the sky, that fire exploded. On Rias, crews mutinied. Captains were dragged from their bridges. Ships broke formation and joined the humans, not as allies, but as rebels against the coalition. The Council had created fear. Humanity had created courage. And courage was spreading. Back on Earth, the people watched the broadcasts in awe. Every screen carried the news. Rias was falling. Coalition fleets were breaking. Other races were turning. For the first time in history, humans were not alone. Children who had seen their families executed now saw justice. Workers who had marched in despair now marched in pride. Earth had been brought to its knees. But now, it was rising higher than ever before. Inside the S.H.O.C.K, General Alinea received reports of the rebellion. 3 alien ships have joined us, an officer said. They ask for protection. They say they will fight against the coalition. Another added, messages are spreading. Other races speak of resistance. Alinea listened. Her eyes narrowed. They are not our allies, she said. They are not our friends. They are simply enemies of our enemy. Remember that. Her voice was calm, but her meaning was clear. Trust was dead. Only humanity could be trusted now. On the High Council worlds, panic deepened. Systems were slipping. Armies were dividing. Their empire was crumbling. One counselor slammed a clawed hand against the table. End this now. Destroy Earth itself. But another hissed back, and risked the wrath of the S.H.O.C.K. You saw what it did to Rias. The debate turned into shouting. Threats. Fear. The coalition, once united, was breaking apart. Far from their arguments, the S.H.O.C.K. sailed onward. The rebellion was spreading. The coalition was crumbling. Humanity's wrath was unbroken. But Alinea knew one thing. The fight was not over. The executions of 7 million could not be erased. The leaders who ordered them still lived. And until they were gone, the war would not end. She stood before her crew, her voice sharp and cold. This is not about power. This is not about conquest. This is about justice. And justice will be done. The crew answered with silence. Not fear. Not doubt. But loyalty. The kind of loyalty only pain can forge. In the endless dark, the S.H.O.C.K. turned its cannons to the stars once more. The war was spreading. The galaxy was trembling. And humanity was not finished yet. The galaxy was burning. World after world had fallen. Coalition fleets were shattered. Systems rebelled. Old alliances cracked like glass. And at the center of it all moved one shadow. The S.H.O.C.K. Its black hull was a blade in the stars. Its weapons sang with fury. Its presence alone turned fear into rebellion. Wherever it appeared, the coalition broke. Wherever it fired, justice followed. But General Alinea knew this was not enough. Striking fleets. Toppling outposts. Breaking chains. All of it meant nothing if the leaders remained alive. The 12 counselors who had ordered the execution of 7 million humans still sat in their towers, protected by walls of soldiers and endless fleets. Until they were gone, the war was not over. And so, Alinea set her course. Straight into the heart of the enemy. The Council's core world was called Orlion. A shining jewel of the galaxy. Golden spires touched the sky. Rivers of light cut across the land. Billions lived in its cities, never knowing hunger, never knowing fear. They believed themselves untouchable. They were wrong. The coalition gathered its last strength there. 1,000 ships. The largest fleet in history. Every weapon. Every soldier. Every defense. This was their wall. Their final stand. If humanity wanted justice, it would have to cut through the greatest force the galaxy had ever seen. The S.H.O.C.K. arrived in silence. Its engines dimmed. Its hull cold. It drifted like a ghost. The fleet saw it. Thousands of guns turned toward it. Millions of eyes stared in fear. And then the silence broke. The sky erupted with fire. The Battle of Orlion shook the stars. Coalition cannons blazed in endless waves. Missiles streaked like comets. Entire squadrons dived in formation, ready to tear the human ship apart. But the S.H.O.C.K. moved with deadly calm. Its shields bent and shimmered, absorbing storms of plasma. Its cannons fired in rhythm, tearing apart battleships like paper. Every strike was precise. Every movement unstoppable. For every human shot, a coalition warship fell. Yet the fleet was vast. The S.H.O.C.K. could not fight forever. Its shields cracked. Its hull burned. Systems screamed in warning. Inside, crews worked without rest. Sparks flew from consoles. Smoke filled the corridors. But no one abandoned their post. They had seen the executions. They had lost families. They had sworn to fight until the end. And so, they fought. Then it happened. In the middle of the battle, ships inside the coalition fleet turned. Not toward the humans. Toward their own commanders. Mutiny spread like fire. Crews who could no longer stomach the Council's rule broke their chains. They attacked their allies. They blocked their guns. The coalition's great fleet turned against itself. And the balance shifted. The S.H.O.C.K cut through the chaos, carving a path straight toward the planet. Alinea stood at the command chair, calm as stone. "Status?" she asked. "Shields at 40%. Hull breach on deck 9. Engines stable. Weapons online," her officer replied. Alinea nodded once. "Then we finish this." The ship entered orbit above Orion. Defense grids opened fire. Planetary cannons rained beams of light. But it was too late. The S.H.O.C.K unleashed everything. Beams of white fire tore through the golden spires. Command towers crumbled. Palaces exploded. And deep inside the council chamber, the 12 alien rulers finally realized the truth. Their power was gone. Their empire was broken. Their time was over. The broadcast came next. Across the galaxy, every world, every colony, every settlement saw the same image. General Alinea, standing tall, her uniform burned and scarred. Her eyes were cold. Her voice steady. "You killed 7 million of our people. You thought humanity would bow. You thought we would break. But you forgot one truth." She paused. The galaxy held its breath. "Humans do not break. We rise." On Earth, people wept. On Mars, they cheered. On stations orbiting distant moons, they stood in silence, hearts burning. For the first time in history, humanity was not a victim. For the first time, the galaxy saw humans not as children, but as survivors. And as something more. The coalition was dead. Some races surrendered. Others declared independence. Many begged humanity for guidance. But Alinea refused their crowns. "We are not here to rule," she said. "We are here to live. And no one will take that from us again." The S.H.O.C.K returned to orbit around Earth. Its hull scarred. Its crew exhausted. But it had done what no one thought possible. It had brought justice. It had brought hope. And it had changed the galaxy forever. The stars were silent once more. But this silence was different. Not the silence of fear. The silence of respect. Because the galaxy knew one truth now. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not broken. Humanity was unstoppable.